This podcast is brought to you by Three Rivers Energy Partners. In today's episode of Digest This.
The latest EIA outlook says natural gas is being leaned on for more combined cycle power, more LNG exports, and more demand from power markets tied to data centers.
More pressure on the gas system, but maybe not the same price shock people might assume.
If the broader gas market stays calm on prices, does that make it harder for RNG to stand out?
Welcome to Digest This, Unpacking Our Sustainable Future, where we dive deep into the latest developments in sustainability and renewable energy. Join us in exploring the pioneering solutions and technologies that are shaping our future. Now, let's dive into today's episode.
Welcome to the show. I'm Alex, and I'm here with Emily. Now, Emily, I keep coming back to this image. One fuel getting pulled by three different people at once. The latest EIA outlook says natural gas is being leaned on for more combined cycle power, more LNG exports, and more demand from power markets tied to data centers. That's not one lane. That's like three highways merging at speed.
The phrase that's sticking with me there is combined cycle. Because when people hear more gas demand, it can sound abstract. Combined cycle means power plants built to squeeze more electricity out of the same fuel, right? So the system is not just asking for gas, it's asking for efficient, dispatchable power when the grid gets stressed.
Exactly. And that's why this moment feels a little counterintuitive. On one hand, the story is bigger demand, electricity reliability, export markets, data centers that need a lot of steady power. On the other hand, gas price forecasts have been trimmed and storage looks comfortable, so instead of a panic story, it looks more like a balancing act.
And comfortable storage is doing real work in that sentence. If storage is comfortable, that suggests the market may stay calmer than some people expected, even while demand headlines keep getting louder. So listeners are hearing two things at once. More pressure on the gas system, but maybe not the same price shock people might assume.
Right. It's almost a tale of visibility versus volatility. The gas system is more visible because it's being asked to support reliability and exports. But visibility doesn't automatically mean chaos. You see companies make that mistake all the time. They'd hear higher demand and immediately assume unmanageable risk. Sometimes the more accurate read is just, okay, this asset class matters more now, so pay attention.
I like that distinction. Visibility versus volatility. And the policy piece matters too. The tension isn't just supply and demand. It's that policy signals and market signals keep shifting underneath the sector. So gas is being asked to carry more weight for electricity and global trade while the rules, incentives, and expectations are still moving around.
Which is where I think people can get whiplash. They'll see one headline about LNG, another about power demand from data centers, another about softer price forecasts, and they'll try to force it into one clean narrative. But it isn't clean. It's a system under multiple instructions. Be reliable, be affordable, be globally competitive, and also adapt fast.
Be reliable, be affordable, adapt fast. That's the whole tension in one line. And the data center piece really sharpens it. Data centers aren't a vague future use case. They're part of why power planners are thinking harder about firm generation. So even if the market feels calmer near term, the underlying question gets more important. What kind of molecule, delivered through what infrastructure, helps the system do all that?
And that's where I don't go alarmist. I go practical. A calmer gas market with stronger demand signals can actually create space for smarter planning. If prices are trimmed and storage is solid, you have a little more room to think beyond the next weather event or the next quarter. You can ask what belongs in the long-term mix.
Yeah, and that is a much healthier conversation than pretending every development means a crisis or a collapse. The market is sending mixed signals, sure, but mixed doesn't mean meaningless. It means the system is evolving in public. And when that system evolves in public, renewable natural gas has a better shot at staying in the frame. That's the key thing for me. A stronger, more visible gas market puts molecules, pipelines, interconnections, and fuel sourcing back into everyday energy conversation. RNG benefits from that because it stops being treated like a side note.
I want to underline molecules there because that's a word people can glide past. You're saying when the market starts paying attention to actual gas supply and delivery again, it becomes easier to talk about lower carbon molecules using the same broad system, not as a science project, as part of fuel strategy.
Exactly. And RNG is especially relevant where emissions cuts are immediate and practical. Dairies, landfills, wastewater, industrial users that need a drop in fuel. Those aren't hypothetical sectors waiting for a perfect future technology. They are existing methane sources and existing energy users. RNG connects those two realities.
Dairies, landfills, wastewater. That trio is memorable because each one is basically a waste stream becoming a value stream, which is a callback to what we talked about last time. RNG is still one of the clearest waste to value plays in the energy space. You're taking something that would be a problem and turning it into a usable fuel.
And not just usable inside infrastructure, people already understand. That was our bridge theme in the previous episode, and I think it holds up. RNG matters not because it replaces everything overnight. It matters because it can work inside the existing system while improving it. Pipelines, end uses, operational know how, those things already exist.
Let me push on that a little, though. If the broader gas market stays calm on prices, does that make it harder for RNG to stand out? Because sometimes when conventional markets feel comfortable, lower carbon options get framed as nice to have.
Good push. I actually think it cuts both ways. A calmer market can reduce urgency, yes, but it can also make procurement more deliberate. If you're an industrial user or a project developer and you're not firefighting price spikes every second, you can evaluate fuel quality, emissions profile, and long-term resilience with a clearer head. That's not bad for RNG.
And for companies I've worked with, that's often how adoption really happens. Not in a panic, in planning meetings. Someone says, we need a lower carbon molecule that doesn't force us to rebuild the whole site. And RNG keeps surviving that conversation because it's practical, not flashy, practical.
Not flashy, practical, might be the most RNG sentence ever, but it's true. A lower carbon drop in fuel is valuable precisely because operations teams don't have infinite time, infinite capital, or infinite appetite for disruption. Immediate emissions cuts at dairies, landfills, and wastewater sites, those are concrete opportunities, not abstract aspirations.
I also think the current natural gas news reinforces something important. Relevance is not the same as dominance. RNG does not have to do everything to matter a great deal. If the gas system is going to stay important for reliability and industry, then improving the quality of the molecules flowing through that system is a real strategy.
That's the thought I want to leave people with. When markets get noisy, it's tempting to ask which fuel wins. But maybe the better question is, which solutions make the existing system cleaner, more useful, and more resilient right now? For me, RNG is still very much in that answer.
Same here. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to Digest This Unpacking Our Sustainable Future, a Three Rivers Energy Partners podcast. Three Rivers Energy Partners is a renewable energy company that empowers organizations with the ability to create a sustainable future by converting organic waste streams into renewable energy and resources. To get the latest episode of Digest This, or to find out more about Three Rivers Energy Partners, visit threeriversenergy.com or find us on LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. The sustainable future is being created right now. Keep exploring and keep up to speed with the latest in renewable energy and sustainability. See you next time.